Accused of crimes against humanity, a draft report says Brazil's president should face criminal charges for his handling of COVID-19. I'm Marlene Saeed. This is Al Jazeera live from Doha. Also coming up, shares in the Chinese property giant Evergrande dropped by more than 10% as a key deal falls through, prompting new fears of collapse. US President Joe Biden says he's concerned after reports say China has tested nuclear-capable hypersonic missile technology. More than 100 people are killed in floods in India and Nepal. Thousands are cut off as landslides block roads. We begin in Brazil, where an investigation into the government's coronavirus response has pointed the finger of blame at President Jair Bolsonaro. The report also recommended he face criminal charges, including crimes against humanity. The draft report still needs to be voted on by the Senate committee. Monica Yanakiev has more.
While a Senate panel was reading the long list of accusations against Jair Bolsonaro, the president was in northeast Brazil being cheered by his supporters.
The voice of the people is the voice of God.
Bolsonaro says he did nothing wrong. He's criticized the Senate panel, which has been investigating the government's handling of the pandemic. It's recommended the president be charged with 10 different crimes, including crimes against humanity. Bolsonaro is accused of downplaying the pandemic, which caused 600,000 deaths in Brazil, the world's second largest toll. The report says thousands of lives could have been saved if the president had taken the virus seriously. Instead, he criticized lockdowns, encouraged mass gatherings, made a point of not wearing a mask, and delayed mass vaccination. The report will be voted upon next Tuesday. It will then be submitted to Brazil's Attorney General, who has 30 days to determine whether he accepts the charges or not. Senator Omar Aziz, who presided the panel, told Al Jazeera there is enough evidence to put Bolsonaro behind bars.
If the Attorney General does nothing, we'll go to the Supreme Court and also to the International Court of Justice at The Hague. We will continue to put pressure to make sure justice is done.
Bolsonaro says the investigation is a loss of time.
It did nothing except spread grudge and hatred among Brazilians.
But that opinion is strongly contested by many Brazilians who lost their loved ones during the pandemic, and by doctors and scientists who say the COVID-19 probe is historic because it points the finger at all those responsible for the tragedy. Monica Yanakiev, Al Jazeera.
Shares in the Chinese property giant Evergrande have plunged by more than 10% this morning. That's after a deal to purchase part of the world's most indebted developer fell through. The drop in the share price has deepened fears that the company could soon be declared in default, with liabilities of around $305 billion. It has missed multiple debt payments in the past month. Investors are worried that the fallout could impact the wider Chinese economy. US President Joe Biden says he's concerned about Chinese hypersonic missile technology. His comments come after reports say that China had tested a new hypersonic weapon back in August. It's believed the nuclear-capable weapon is a DF-17 glide missile. Beijing has denied the report, saying it was testing a space vehicle. The White House says it's raised concerns about the issue through diplomatic channels. Patty Culhane has been following developments from Washington.
The White House doesn't appear like it's trying to put a lot of focus on this. What happened was when President Joe Biden was leaving Washington, a reporter asked, "Are you concerned about this potential missile launch?" And he said yes. For her part, White House spokeswoman Jen Psaki said they're reaching out to their counterparts in China through the diplomatic process. So basically, this is all about a report in the Financial Times. It said that over the summer, China was able to test launch what they call a nuclear-capable hypersonic glide weapon. So basically, it's a missile that goes into the outer space, circles the globe at 5 times the speed of sound, was able to land, according to the Financial Times, pretty much near its target, missed its target, but just narrowly. Now, China says this was not a missile test. They said they were working on rocket technology. Why is this such a big concern for the U.S.? Well, it spent a lot of its money on missile defense systems that can basically shoot down conventional types of missiles. They wouldn't work against a hypersonic missile. And it's a big emphasis for U.S. military defense. One of the programs that they're considering pursuing would cost an estimated $176 billion over 10 years. But if hypersonic missiles become commonplace, obviously they're going to have to rethink their strategy. Also important to point out that other nations are working with this technology, including the United States. Russia says it is as well as North Korea. Again, China says it is not working on that technology, but it has raised concerns in the U.S.
The UN Security Council has held an emergency meeting on North Korea a day after Pyongyang test-fired a ballistic missile from a submarine. It's the first underwater test launch in 2 years. The US, South Korea and Japan have condemned it. Analysts say the move could be aimed at more quickly fielding an operational missile submarine. Our diplomatic editor James Bays has the latest from the UN.
Diplomatically, there's been no progress on North Korea since 2019. That was the year of the last failed summit between President Trump and Kim Jong-un that took place in Hanoi, and then their meeting at the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. But militarily, in the meantime, North Korea has made substantial progress on its nuclear capabilities, most recently firing a ballistic missile from a submarine. Now, back in 2019, they fired a submarine missile, but many experts believe that was actually launched from an underwater platform. This meeting of the Security Council was preceded by a statement from the 3 European Union members of the Security Council. It's clear there's real frustration.
We need compliance with Security Council resolutions. There hasn't been results in the recent years. The only thing you can witness is a continuation of proliferation both on the nuclear track and the ballistic track, and it needs to stop before it's too late.
The US ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, made it clear that she believes the sanctions imposed on North Korea aren't working.
We already have a sanctions regime in place. We just need to be more serious about the implementation of that regime. Frankly, the 1718 committee is not doing its job. We need to enforce these violations. We need to ramp up the implementation of the sanctions, and we've not done that. And particularly, we need to focus on those who are violating sanctions and others who are engaging in activities that break the sanctions. Thank you.
But complicating things for the US and its allies is the fact that there are many who would like to see the sanctions on North Korea eased. They include the UN Special Rapporteur for North Korea, who says there's a real risk of starvation in the country.
The Afghan Taliban says it needs international recognition to ease the country's humanitarian crisis. Representatives were speaking in Moscow following a conference with regional powers, including China, India and Pakistan. Russia says the group would have to uphold a basic standard of human rights in order to get recognition. The Taliban also promised to address ongoing security concerns.
We had a very good meeting. All the participating countries, they supported unfreezing the assets of Afghanistan's central bank, which is actually the assets of the Afghan people, and it should not be connected with political issues. And also all the participating countries, they supported close engagement with the new Islamic government in Afghanistan. And overall, the Islamic Emirate appreciates the effort and the positions mostly expressed by different countries in today's meeting.
Ahmed Rashid is an author who's written extensively about the Taliban. He says the countries in the region are watching developments in the country very closely.
There's a big power play going on at the moment between all the neighboring states of Afghanistan, and the most important of which is the play between Russia and China. Russia does not want to give China the complete edge of the future of Afghanistan. as the Chinese have been promising aid and money and infrastructure development, the Russians also want to protect Central Asia from militant groups who are still living in Afghanistan and operating quite freely. At the same time, they want to have a better position than the Western countries and the United States towards the Taliban. So they promise humanitarian aid, but they're not going to recognize the Taliban until what they say the Taliban make an inclusive government, which includes minorities, women, and other parts of the Afghan politics. And also that the Taliban become more amenable to basic human rights and respect for women, etc. So there's there is a competition here, basically, between this bloc of countries which border Afghanistan and the Americans and the Europeans.
More than 100 people have died in floods in India and Nepal. Many of those deaths have been in India's Uttarakhand state, where thousands of people remain cut off after landslides blocked roads. And the southern state of Kerala is also on high alert for more heavy rainfall after 39 deaths in the past week. From there, Elizabeth Puranam reports.
An aerial survey of the northern state of Uttarakhand shows large areas of farmland submerged. Heavy rain in the past 3 days has led to flooding and landslides, which have destroyed homes and bridges and killed dozens of people in northern and southern India. More than 300 people have been rescued and thousands relocated in Uttarakhand.
All our rescue forces have been deployed to several flood-affected areas on rafts and ropes. The National Disaster Response Force has also deployed several teams. We are working on clearing several roads that have been closed due to flood damage.
Thousands of people remain cut off in the districts of Almora and Ranikhet after landslides blocked roads. The worst affected region of Kumaon recorded its heaviest daily rainfall since records began 124 years ago. Kumaon is on the border with Nepal, where around 50 people have been killed and 30 are missing after flooding and landslides there. Meanwhile, in southern India, cleanup operations are continuing in Kerala, where dozens have been killed during the past week's torrential rain. Local authorities have been releasing water from dams which were nearly full. 3 days since the worst of the flooding in Kerala, thousands of people are staying in relief camps like this one. The government has also doubled the number of shelters since Sunday as it instructs people living in low-lying areas to move. Flooding from monsoon rains is an annual occurrence in Kerala, but people living in one of the worst affected districts, Kottayam, told Al Jazeera they have never experienced anything like it. Rama Suresh is one of many people living in relief camps after their homes were destroyed.
In my life, I never thought something like this could happen to us because our house is on higher ground and was a little safer than the people living further down. Earlier, when there was a small flood or the water level rose, the neighbours used to come to our house to stay there until the level went down. That's how safe our house was, so I have no idea how this happened.
Uttarakhand and Kerala are in opposite ends of India, but climatologists say both states are experiencing more extreme rainfall events because of climate change. They're also in ecologically fragile regions, Uttarakhand in the Himalayas and Kerala in the Western Ghats mountain range. Environmentalists say mining, construction projects and deforestation in mountains which are prone to landslides are leading to more disasters. Elizabeth Puranam, Al Jazeera, Kottayam, Kerala.
Still ahead on Al Jazeera, a US Christian group holds a day of prayer as negotiations for the release of 17 kidnapped missionaries continues in Haiti. And why dozens of protesters demanding democratic rights are injured in Africa's last absolute monarchy.
It's another beautiful sunny day at 35,000 feet. The weather sponsored by Qatar Airways, voted world's best airline of 2021.
Hello, good to see you. Here's your weather update in a minute 15. We're beginning in the Middle East, where some of this energy through the Caspian Sea, I think it will seep into Tehran, and we'll see some showers on Thursday with a high of 19 degrees. We've got a wind coming down from Iraq through the Gulf states, so Doha 35 degrees on Thursday, but I think we'll see wind gusts here of about 55 kilometers per hour in places like Doha. Next stop, Pakistan, still looking good. Plenty of sunshine to go around. Karachi 36 degrees, Islamabad 33. But prepare for it. Your temperatures are going to fall in the days to come. Windy conditions on Saturday, thunderstorms maybe on Sunday, and there we go, only 25 on Monday, so below average here. We have been dealing with some heavy rain around Turkey's northeastern Black Sea region, but that's gone on Thursday, and really right across the country we've got full-on sunshine. Tropics of Africa, not the case. Plenty of storms. Democratic Republic of Congo as we head in toward Cameroon and southern sections of Nigeria. Lagos has a high of 31 degrees. Further toward the south, we've got 23 degrees in Port Elizabeth, but look at all this rain coming down from Angola, Namibia, Botswana into the western portion of South Africa. Cape Town, a high of 22 degrees.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.